They're transitioning things over from normalcy to the toxic nature of what they want. And in order to do that, you have to call normalcy toxicity, and you have to call all the things that he keeps talking about doing, call that a normal.
Real toxic leadership is endangering subordinates with low standards. Real toxic leadership is promoting people based on immutable characteristics or quotas instead of based on merit. Real toxic leadership is promoting destructive ideologies that are an anathema to the Constitution and the laws of nature and nature's God, as Thomas Jefferson wrote in the Declaration of Independence. The definition of toxic has been turned upside down, and we're correcting that. That's why today, at my direction, we're undertaking a full review of the department's definitions of so-called toxic leadership, bullying, and hazing, to empower leaders to enforce standards without fear of retribution or second guessing. Of course, you can't do like nasty bullying and hazing. We're talking about words like bullying and hazing and toxic. They've been weaponized and bastardized inside our formations, undercutting commanders and NCOs. No more. Setting, achieving, and maintaining high standards is what you all do. And if that makes me toxic, then so be it.
That's how you flip the script on reality. I mean, it's not like it's very well done or works all that much, but I guess it works on people that hear things like, well, I'm a bully. I like to haze. I'm a toxic. People keep telling me I'm toxic. Maybe if we just flip the script on what toxicity really is, we can claim that we're all about toxicity. Matter of fact, it's been bastardized. It's turned into this whole thing where you can't just go and bully someone. You can't use your rank on people. You can't harass people. You can't assault folks. I mean, what are we going to do with all these women that are around us in the military? Why can't we assault them? It's lowering any kind of accountability for your actions. No retribution. Think of the words that he's saying and don't take them too lightly. That'll, of course, be unleashed primarily on new recruits, because, again, he watches too many movies. And, I guess to a degree, I wasn't in the military. We'll see. But what he definitely wants is a lot more of those scenes from Forrest Gump where the guy's screaming in his face.
Basic training is being restored to what it should be: scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them the warriors they need to be. Back to basics at basic as well.
You're going to come in, you're going to be abused, you're going to be mentally abused, so you can turn you into a war fighter, a brainless war fighter who has nothing apparently else on his mind except for killing people, hunting them down, having lesser accountability. We're going to get away from all those woke rules of engagement internationally. We're just going to take your brain out and put in a killing machine and then send you out there. And if you don't like it, resign. We'll kick your ass out. Because that's the United States of America under Donald Trump. It's vicious, it's savage, and it's all for the pleasure of the president. As Pete Hegseth said, bro, I'm not done. Because what he definitely doesn't want is accountability, because it could ruin one of these guys' careers.
You should not pay for earnest mistakes for your entire career. And that's why today, at my direction, we're making changes to the retention of adverse information on personnel records that will allow leaders with forgivable, earnest, or minor infractions to not be encumbered by those infractions in perpetuity. People make honest mistakes, and our mistakes should not define an entire career. Otherwise, we only try not to make mistakes, and that's not the business we're in. We need risk takers and aggressive leaders and a culture that supports you.
A culture that supports you means this military is going to back you up when you do wrong things, when you commit war crimes, because we're lessening the rules on that too, when you assault people, when you break rules, when you bully, when you intimidate, when these generals or whoever it is that's these drill sergeants that he wants screaming in people's faces, when they can then, as he said, put hands on them, there's no accountability for their actions. Things that should normally just be, excused and let go. We can't keep punishing people for doing things that they do wrong, because that could ruin someone's entire career, he says.
A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong always in polite society.
We should pay attention. The people that he wants in his modern, redesigned, accountability-free military says you should kill people and break things for a living. This is your liberation day. This is your liberation day. You don't have to hide in the shadows anymore and think about all the racist and bigoted things that you believe in, the types of folks that you think shouldn't exist. You can come into this very white supremacist-based military and then say that, "Ayo, anybody that I see, because I'm in this war that we keep starting, I can do whatever I want. And this military will back me up because there's no more accountability. We don't follow rules of engagement. We start wars and call it peace." All that was said. All of that was very, very blatantly said. He's not speaking fast. He's not giving any kind of weird innuendo. He's telling you exactly what it's about. And I mean, maybe you guys are seeing me talking about the white supremacy aspect of this.
As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, "our diversity is our strength." Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal. They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders. Our job, my job, has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders.
This insane fallacy that our diversity is our strength. What we need is certain looks of people. We need certain skin tones of folks because anything else obviously is inferior, because what's running the country and now this military are white supremacists. This idea that anyone else doesn't have the same mental, physical capacities that this guy thinks he's got, that he's been put on full display to not having. But that doesn't matter. Reality doesn't matter to these fascists. They've now got control of the military. Now they're trying to coalesce that power around anyone else that's still in the military who has any mindset that's like, this is weird. I don't think this should be a white supremacist-based military. He's letting you guys know this is what it's going to be. You know why? Because as he said earlier, you serve at the pleasure of the white supremacist president. Let me show you guys how he wrapped up this part of his speech. Because again, this is a presentation. This is an audition. Don't forget, Pete Hegseth was the Fox and Friends weekend guy. You know, he wasn't there for the weekdays. He was just the weekend guy. So he's there giving speeches, reading teleprompters. That's like his wheelhouse, you know, except he's also a rabid racist and a bigot and also, you know, a misogynist. But this is what he has to add on to it because you got to remember, he works for Donald Trump and they're always selling something.
Removing the distractions, clearing the way for leaders to be leaders. You might say we're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that.
As you can say, we're releasing the war on warriors. Someone wrote a book about that. I think it was me. Yeah, Pete Hegseth wrote a book called The War on Warriors. I looked it up since that's his mindset. I was like, I wonder what this book is about. So I looked up a couple reviews about that book. War on Warriors is the name of the book. And this is one of the first reviews. Said, I was sent this book from a conservative group that I donate to, and I sent it back. Filthy, insulting, almost maniacal at times. Hard to read and not well written. He needs a ghostwriter or a much better editor. I disliked Hegseth before for his insulting comments, calling female soldiers lesbians, etc. But I'm appalled at how much further he takes his rhetoric in the book. Hegseth is scary, and this book should never have been accepted for print. Okay, there's that. Okay, there's more. There's more. There's another review of War on Warriors, Pete Hegseth. Their title for their post was Unhinged and Toxic. He thinks we should disregard the Geneva Conventions, and he's only in his early 40s, but has been married 3 times. Red flags everywhere. Okay, maybe this one isn't, as Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump would call it, a disgruntled woman. It says a one-sided view of the military from a misogynist. Damn. It says it's obvious that this author served very little time and is a weekend warrior from the very one-sided views he holds. As a 24-year veteran with 3 combat tours under my belt, I can say that he does not speak for those of us who gave our lives to active duty service to the country. Perhaps he should have spent more time serving and achieved more schooling and rank and experience before being given a microphone. And I guess, the microphone is just his book that he's not promoting. Again, to these military leaders, does he expect them to read it? Maybe as they all walked out, they gave them a copy and said, read this. This is how you're going to really understand the warrior ethos that Pete Dumb Hegseth keeps talking about. One more review. It said, awful book with incredibly stupid rhetoric. Bought this a month or 2 ago, and it reads like you would expect from someone who styles themselves as some sort of alpha male. Those are some of the reviews from the book. There were some praiseworthy ones as well, where they basically said the same thing that Hegseth is saying. So if you agree with him on all those points about lack of accountability, this should be a whites only straight Christian male army, sure, you'll agree with him. Apparently that's what it is that he's looking to outline in that book. And, people noticed it.